Hello everyone, back to in today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days, or today's second video. That will take us to the 19th of October, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and E7 ensembles running around a couple of weeks. Have a look at Surface V2, as always, at the end of the video. For the next month as well. So that's going to take us into early November. So 5-day forecast has been released. Of course, we'll talk about that as well as we go through this video. But it's going to be a very unsettled 5 days coming up. There's going to be showers or longer spells of rain. And quite a bit of wet weather to come, especially at the end of the week and into the weekend. So have a look at the 5-day forecast, see what's going on there. We'll extend out beyond that with this second video update. And I'll get on with that for you right now. We're going to start off in the tropical Atlantic, though. So we've got 3 interest areas. We have 2 yellow X's just here and an orange X over there. So if we have a quick look at what they are, this is disturbance 2, has a 10% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours and only a 20% chance in the next 5 days. So it doesn't look like that's going to do a great deal. And we have disturbance 3 just there. That one has a 20% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 days, 20% chance in the next 5 days. Both of those look like we're not going to do all that much. And then we've got disturbance 1 with a 40% chance, a medium risk of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. So with this one, they're saying a non-tropical low-pressure system located around 1,000 miles east of Bermuda is producing winds to near gale force. This system could become a tropical or subtropical storm while it moves slowly westwards through today. However, upper level winds are expected to become unfavourable for further development by tonight. So I'm not sure what's happening with that. They're saying it's going to be unfavourable for development by tonight, and it doesn't go out beyond that, although there is a 40% chance of this becoming tropical cyclone in the next 5 days, so a little bit uncertain what's happening with that. It looks like if it doesn't become a tropical storm today, it probably won't in the foreseeable future, but we should wait and see what happens with that over the next couple of days. Otherwise, there's nothing else going on in the tropical Atlantic at this stage, so we'll move on from that and have a look at the central temperature. So we have the CET updated provisional to yesterday, the 8th of October, so we're now, of course, a week into the month. We're sitting at 11.6. Which is an anomaly, actually, of still below average, 0.6 of a degree below average. Remember, October is a cooling month, so on average, it will be cooler at the end of the month from where it starts. So if it was to stay there at 11.6 through to month's end, it would actually come out around a degree above average. But at the moment, the anomaly up to the 8th of October, that is still a little bit below average. And I suspect it's going to tick up a bit more, actually, over the next couple of days. May drop a bit into next week, though. There's no sign of anything excessively warm coming up, but it is an unsettled spell, which means we're not going to get particularly cold nights. And overall, that will probably hold up the central temperature to some degree, certainly up to the middle part of the month. There's no sign of anything particularly cold or frosty by night in the next week to 10 days at least. But it does look very wet. So these are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. Next, going to release on Huddersfield in the north of England today. So the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Huddersfield. And you can see that actually with upper air temperatures, we're a little bit cooler than average at the moment, but it's not particularly cool air mass that we're sitting in. Over the next week, let's say, that takes us up to around day 10, just there, 19th of October. It seems that the upper air temperatures are going to stick around average, a little bit up and down, not deviating too far from average. But when you average it all out on the surface, it'll probably be a little bit warmer than average due to relatively mild nights. Maybe a bit more of a definitive drop in temperature for a few days there as we're going through the 3rd week of October. But overall, no sign of anything particularly warm or cold in the next couple of weeks in terms of the upper air temperatures, just rather close to average. But this does mean that temperatures probably on the surface when you average them out, because we won't be getting any cold nights, probably coming out a little bit above average. But much more definitively and importantly than temperature is rainfall. So the next couple of days, not too much rain, sort of showers, but as we get through to the end of the week, and into weekend, and then into next week, that looks like a real deluge there for Huddersfield. Going to be very, very wet indeed across the north of England, and keeping it regularly unsettled as we go, even into the final week of October. That's 25th of October, just about as far as we can get to with the GFS and its ensembles today. So it just remains the case that this very unsettled, very wet October is set to continue. No change again. Today, temperature anomalies from the 9th to the 17th of October are very close to average, as we've been seeing over the past few days with these anomaly maps. So for Scotland and Northern Ireland, possibly a little bit below average. England and Wales, possibly a little bit above average. It's not a particularly big deviation either way. Precipitation anomalies for England and Wales, rather wetter than average. For Scotland, especially North and East Scotland, could be a little bit drier than average. Overall, this does look like an unsettled week coming up. That's how the GFS is looking for Saturday. So on Saturday, we're going to have a weather front that's a weakening feature for a while down in the south, but it will trail back into the Atlantic to a developing area of low pressure down here. That will contain a lot of warm air and a lot of moisture, and that low is going to run along the front, push northwards on Saturday night and into Sunday. So that's how things are looking on Sunday, with an area of low pressure then developing down to the southwest. That's this kink in the isobars just here. That's going to push northwards and potentially give a lot of wet weather Saturday night and into Sunday. Then we move through into Monday, and we've got another area of low pressure that's developing around Biscay. That looks like it's set to push northwards, will bring more wet weather through the course of Monday. And initially, temperatures are going to be quite warm, I think, on Saturday and Sunday in the southeast. It's going to be quite warm. But as we go into next week, I think we'll start to pull in some cooler air from the north and the northeast. So temperatures will probably lower through the early part of next week. And then we start to bring more areas of low pressure in off the Atlantic as we move through next week. No sign of an end to this unsettled spell of weather. That's how we look at day 10, which is Saturday the 19th of October. Still unsettled, still low pressure dominating where we have our next area of low pressure, which is waiting in the wings to the west of Ireland, and that's only going in one direction, which is into Ireland and into the UK. So that one pushes through as we go from Saturday 19th to Sunday 20th of October. That brings more heavy rain piling in from off the Atlantic. And then we head up into the extended range with this GFS run, and we keep it unsettled. But gradually with time, winds are beginning to shift a little bit more northwesterly. So as we get through towards the final week of October, possibly hints of a bit of a cold snap. But of course, that's a very, very long way off. It's over 2 weeks away. So it's well and truly in the unreliable time frame. That's how the GEM is looking, really unsettled over the weekend and into next week, with areas of low pressure pushing northwards, bringing batches of rain with it. Middle of next week tries to build a little bit of a bump of high pressure across southern eastern parts of the country, but plenty of low pressure out in the Atlantic. That moves in the second half week, bringing more wet weather. That's how we look at day 10, which is Saturday the 19th of October. High pressure is out to our southwest, and we're bringing in a rather cooler and showery northwesterly wind, I would have thought, at that point with the GEM. And the ECMWF is looking like this. Again, very, very unsettled on Saturday and into Sunday. Bouts of rain piling northwards from the south and from the southwest too. Into the early part of next week, keeping it unsettled with low pressure very close to the country. And then into middle of next week, the next area, low pressure rolls in from off the Atlantic. That brings wet and windy weather with it. Heading up to day 10, which is Saturday the 19th of October. Again, that's how we're looking, rather cool, rather showery, with winds going into a west to northwesterly direction. There's no sign of a break in this unsettled weather, certainly within the next week to 10 days, probably beyond that. This is how the ECMWF rainfall forecasts are looking at Temeteo.com today. So for today, we've got showers in the north and west. A reasonable amount of dry weather, though, in the east. This is one of the drier days of the week, definitely. Into tomorrow, we've got more persistent areas of rain coming in from west, particularly in this northwestern corner, but otherwise also affecting other western parts of the country. Again, just about a dry day again tomorrow over in the east. And then the rain gets more widespread, actually, tomorrow night and into Friday. So really wet across parts of Wales and northern England on Friday. That rain increasingly coming down in towards the Midlands as well. And patchy rain further southwards, showers to the north. That takes us into Saturday. So on Saturday, the ECM wants to pep up this rain quite early on. The GFS actually doesn't pep this up until Saturday night. So a bit of a discrepancy about that, but the idea is very much there, that there's going to be rain never far away as we get through to the weekend, and gradually through the weekend this rain is piling northwards as well. We're into Sunday now with the rain getting up towards Scotland, still quite wet across much of England and Wales as well. A bit of a drier interlude as we go from Sunday into Monday, but here comes the next batch of rain through the course of Monday. That brings us another soaking, and then that one gets out of the way, and we're into the middle of next week with wet and windy weather then coming in from off the Atlantic, and more areas of rain into the second half next week. This is Thursday next week, looking really wet, and Friday we're going back towards showers and heading up to day 10. That's how we're looking. Still showery in the north, a little bit drier perhaps for some of those eastern parts of the country. These are the options that are on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which is of course the 19th of October. So we have 28 members of the ECM ensembles. These from the Icelandic Met Office. 28 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure through the west of Europe, particularly the UK and Ireland. High pressure in the middle of the Atlantic. Jet stream doing something like that. Obviously that's going to be a very unsettled scenario. And another 23 with low pressure more to the north, a little bit more ridging both to our east and also to our west southwest. So still quite unsettled even with those, but just a little bit less so. And that does include the control and the operational run. So by day 10, just maybe starting to lift out of the most unsettled conditions, although overall that is still pretty mixed, you have to say. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that are on the table in the ECM ensembles. This one gets us to the 24th of October. We have 16 members of the ECM ensembles, actually building up a little bit of a ridge then, with low pressure going to the north. So that's pushing the jet stream northwards and potentially bringing something a little bit drier there as we get through to the 24th of October. However, we've got 15 just here that look extremely unsettled, with a trough of low pressure centred over the UK and much of Western Europe as well. 13 have low pressure out to our west, with a Scandinavian high. So that's one is a case of let battle commence, really, that scenario. Low pressure trying to keep those westerly winds going, but high pressure over Scandinavia trying to get wind into the east. That would be a little bit of a battleground UK situation. And then another 7 building up a bit of a ridge from the southwest. Again, that was trying to lift the jet stream a little bit further northwards. So let's get through to 2 weeks time, which is sort of taking us into the start of the final week of October. Just maybe a few hints of higher pressure, although the exact position of that ridge is obviously to be determined because it's a very long way out. But maybe by the last week of October, signs that we begin to break out of this very unsettled weather. But until then, certainly the next 10 days looks very unsettled. These are the CFS V2 500 millibar height anomalies for the next 4 weeks. So this is the week 1 anomaly from the 9th to the 15th of October. The coming week looks unsettled with low pressure over and to the north country, high pressures away to the south-southeast, winds in from the west. So they're going to be very unsettled. It is going to be very unsettled in week ahead. These unsettled conditions carry on into week 2 as well. This is 16th, 22nd of October. Again, below average heights as a trough within the 500 millibar flow, pretty much over the top of the UK. Bit of a ridge up towards Scandinavia and some ridging across the eastern part of Europe. Jet stream doing something a little bit like that. So again, looks very unsettled in week 2. Week 3 is the 23rd to 29th of October, with below average heights to the west of the country, above average heights across Eastern Europe. That's still unsettled as well, but the only difference is that it could be pulling up some warmer air from the south, perhaps. And then we finish up on week 4, which is the 30th of October to the 5th of November, bonfire night, of course, with low pressure out to our west-northwest, and probably bring in a little bit of a westerly type winds. So even then, even up to week 4, it looks rather Atlantic driven, you have to say, and rather unsettled. This could be turning into a really, really unsettled autumn, but of course we should wait and see about that. So, certainly the next week to 10 days, lots of low pressure coming up. There could be showers, longer spells of rain. It's the same story we've been talking about in videos over the past few days. 1 or 2 hints, and as we get to around days 10 to 14, we might start to build up a little bit of ridging. It all looks quite tentative even then, though I have to say there's not much sign of that at all within the CFS-V2, for example. So I think we just say no change today. Low pressure continues to rule the roost, and therefore we expect more wet weather, especially over the weekend and into next week as well. Tomorrow we'll have another look at the weather next week to 10 days. Of course, we will see whether there's signs of any change then. We're also going to have a look at Beijing climate change next 40 days. So I haven't looked at that for a little while. It is back. It's been back for a couple of days, so I haven't featured it in the video yet. But tomorrow you'll see the next 40-day forecast from Beijing Climate Centre in tomorrow's video. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.